Welcome to A Meaningful Marketplace.
I'm Sarah Masoni from Oregon State University's Food Innovation Center, where I've helped countless dreamers launch their new food products. It's the science of taking a food delight from the kitchen to mass manufacturing and still keeping its great taste. That's what I do. I've been called the woman with the $1 million palate, although I haven't tried to cash that check yet. Listen in weekly for real-life stories.
I'm Sarah Marshall, owner of Marshall's Hot Sauce and author of Preservation Pantry, modern canning from root to top and stem to core. I love inspiring business owners to get started on their journey, encourage folks to be part of their local community, and I'm excited to help business owners tell their stories. Hello and welcome to the Meaningful Marketplace. We are here weekly to discuss the journeys of food entrepreneurs. We are glad you've joined us today as we bring you stories of hope and inspiration. This is Sarah Marshall, owner of Marshall's Hot Sauce.
And Sarah Masoni of Oregon State University's Food Innovation Center. Hi, Sarah Marshall.
Hi, Sarah Masoni. I wanted to thank you for coming by my event this week at Gobble Up. Even though I wasn't there, you dropped me.
I was very stealth. Were you surprised?
I was surprised. Yes,
Woo-hoo.
I was very surprised, and it was so nice of you to come by. I wasn't there because it was my birthday, and Dirk.
I asked Dirk where you were, and he's like, well, it's her birthday. She's not going to work on her birthday. And
Yeah. My
yeah.
husband worked the booth for me so that I could go hang out with my daughter. We were running birthday errands because her birthday party was the next day. But it was great. So sorry I missed you, but thanks for the gift. I loved everything. I'm really enjoying the hot sauces that you made for me. So thank you for that.
Did you like those?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Cool.
So thank you. That was great. Any food news you have for us, Sarah? You've been off in...
Yeah, I was in New Orleans and I ate red beans and rice almost every single day I was there. I was there Monday through Saturday of last week, and it was part of the food corridor puts on the Shared Use Kitchen Summit, and it was amazing. I was on 2 panels, and I got to meet people from all over the world. There was a group from South Africa, people from Hawaii, and all across the U.S. It was amazing.
That's so fun. I'm glad you got to have that opportunity to connect with other food people. Could anybody go to that event, or did you have to be like invited?
As long as you bought your ticket, it sold out. Your buddy from California was there.
What? I
The
think
farmer's market lady.
Oh, Kat.
Yeah, Kat was there.
Oh, she's the best.
Yeah, she was there. I bet there are a lot of people there you knew, actually.
Probably. That's so great. I love those kinds of things. I love conferences and any kind of food related event. I just like to kind of come and hang and chat with people and create good food systems. That's what it's all about.
It was just so fun.
And we'll make sure to put the information in the show notes in case people want to attend in the future. Is it something that will happen again?
Yep.
Cool.
Should happen next year around this time.
Awesome. That sounds great.
Yeah.
Well, welcome back. I'm glad you got to go and you had a good time.
Yeah, it was great.
What's the favorite thing you ate? Beans and rice?
Actually, a couple of ladies had gone to breakfast and had shrimp and grits. And so one of the ladies called the other lady and was like, hey, you still there? She goes, yeah. She said, can you buy Sarah some shrimp and grits? And so she delivered the shrimp and grits to me. And it was interesting because I tried to order shrimp and grits at this one restaurant. I waited for a whole hour and then I went up to the counter. I'm like, hey, after an hour, where are my shrimp and grits? I literally could have cooked like 9 orders of shrimp and grits by now. And they're like, oh, didn't anyone tell you we're out of shrimp?
Oh, no.
And I was like, no. I'm like, do you have red beans and rice? And the guy's like, of course. So I had red beans and rice, and it was the best red beans and rice I had the whole week.
That's so fun.
The food's tasty. It's just simple fare.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has their own spin on it.
Yeah.
I liked it. I enjoyed myself.
So fun. I'm glad you got
We
to
did a
go.
second line from the hotel all the way down through the district into this little theater called the Toulouse, and then we had an awards ceremony called Golden Whisk Award, and we recognized all these leaders in the shared kitchen community. It was quite delightful.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we've been partnering with the Regional Food Business Center to bring you guests from our 6-state region. We're currently meeting with business owners from the great state of Washington. I would like to welcome our co host, Emily. She's our Regional Food Systems Specialist for Washington. Thank you for being our Washington expert while we meet with all these wonderful new businesses. Welcome, Emily.
Thank you. So glad to be here again today.
And do you have any Washington news for us?
I do. Actually, we have another online webinar coming up later this week. It'll be Wednesday, November 20th at 2 p.m. PST. And this is another webinar that will be recorded. So anybody listening to this, and if it sounds of interest, you will be able to find it down the road. This webinar's topic is preparing now for value-added producer grants. And that grant is a USDA rural development opportunity offered each year. And those are designed to help producers begin processing and or marketing value-added products. And the webinar is going to cover the basics of the grant program, as well as examples of some funded projects in the past and recommended best practices for a successful grant application for the upcoming round. So you can find the link to that event on our website event page, and it'll be recorded and sent out through a couple of different email groups and then posted to the website down the road. So keep an eye out for that.
Perfect. Well, we'll put links in too so people can find it in the show notes, but that sounds great. And do you know our guest that's on the show today?
I haven't, but I went on the website right before and was immediately hungry. So
I know.
excited to talk today.
I know. I was searching, where are these in Oregon?
I did the same.
Well, we'll find out. To be continued in the later part of the show. Well, we would like to encourage you to connect with your state by signing up for the Regional Food Business Center newsletter. It's a breeze to sign up. Just go to Northwest Rocky Mountain Regional Food Business Center.com, hit connect with us, and choose the button to receive newsletters. And we want to thank our sponsor for supporting the Meaningful Marketplace. Thank you for helping us spread the word about small business owners and entrepreneurs. Let's hear a word from our sponsor. The Northwest and Rocky Mountain Regional Food Business Center is the proud sponsor of the Meaningful Marketplace podcast, giving a voice to food from across the 6-state region of Colorado, Idaho, Montana, Oregon, Washington, and Wyoming. The Food Business Center supports Northwest and Rocky Mountain food industry makers as part of the USDA's National Network of Food Business Centers, supporting a more resilient, diverse, and competitive food system as a go-to source for small and mid-tier food and farm businesses with a focus on underserved communities, providing education in the form of technical knowledge, business programs, and industry news. We sponsor trade shows, meetups, and conferences to connect growers, producers, retailers, distributors, and processors, all to stimulate business and raise the standards of our storied food industry. Join us as we travel through the 6-state region, learning more about food makers, food hubs, and food systems. Visit the website at Northwest Rocky Mountain Regional Food Businesses.com to get connected. And I would like to introduce you to Cynthia. She is the owner of Xinca Foods, making Salvadorian frozen foods in Seattle, Washington. We're delighted to have you on the show today. Welcome.
Thank you.
And we want to connect our listeners to you and give them the best way to find you. Can you tell us your social media and your website?
Yeah, so our social media, we're only on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. And you can find us at Xinca Foods. That's our handle. And then our website is xincafoods.com.
Perfect. Well, we like to start at the beginning of your business. And so can you describe what inspired you to start a food business?
Yeah, sure. So I actually used to work in corporate. So my last job was working at Microsoft. And I used to move around a lot for a lot of the corporate jobs that I was in because I worked in marketing. So like I worked for T-Mobile. That's the reason how I ended up here in Washington State because they're headquartered here. And but I moved here from New York to Washington. So it was a very drastic move. But I grew up in Los Angeles, California. So I used to move around a lot and I would always miss my comfort food, which is Salvadorian food, pupusas. And so moving around a lot kind of like taught me that there wasn't like my comfort food wasn't something that was easy to find in the freezer section. And so I thought to myself, like, probably there's more people out there like me who might be missing the comfort food, which is pupusas. And so that kind of was the inspiration behind as to why I started Xinca, because I wanted my food to be easy and accessible to myself and everyone else who felt like me.
That's so great. You saw a need on the marketplace for something that you wanted, and you just decided, I'm going to go out there and make it myself.
Go for it.
Yes.
And you're based in the Seattle area, and I think the topic that came up for us before you were even on the show was, is there a way for us here in Oregon to get your pupusas?
Yes. So we actually just launched on hsn.com, which is the home shopping network. So you can order from there. You can also order from our website, but I know Home Shopping Network, the shipping will be free. But we are working with a few retailers out in the Portland, Oregon area. So we're crossing our fingers for them. But if you really want our products in your grocery stores, make sure to, go to your favorite grocery store and request our product there.
That's a good idea.
That is a good idea. I'm traveling up to Seattle this weekend for a craft show, Renegade Craft, and I'll be kind of in a few different neighborhoods. Are there local stores in Seattle that I could pop in and get some?
Yes, so PCC, Met Market, Town and Country, and some of the smaller ones are Local Yokos, and I believe Bloom Bistro will be carrying our products soon. And we are in some of the thrift ways. I know Vashon Island is one of them, and I know we're in a few other stores, but I just know the big three.
Perfect. That'll do the trick. The hotel I stay in is right by a Met Market, so I can go in, and I always have a little cooler because I bring my food with me for the event. So I'll have to pop in and get some.
Can I place an order, please?
Sarah Masoni wants to place an order.
What about you, Emily? Do you want to place an order too? Maybe I have to bring a bigger cooler.
I'll actually be in Seattle later this month. And when I went on the store finder, I was like, my Seattle shopping list is getting bigger each time we do a podcast.
I know.
I'll place the order with you too, Emily.
Yeah, you have a good list going, Emily, of things to try on your next adventure. Cynthia, in case people don't know what pupusas are, can you describe them to our listeners?
Oh, definitely. So a pupusa is a round. Everybody thinks there's breading outside, but it's not breading. It is actually corn masa, which is naturally gluten-free. And so inside it's already stuffed with either a vegetarian, vegan, or a meat option. But our products come only in a vegetarian or plant-based option. But traditionally, they come filled already inside with cheese or loroco, which is a traditional pupusa in El Salvador. Or one of our other SKUs right now is beans and cheese, which is my mother's recipe that I made into a frozen food item. So traditionally, there's different types of pupusas, but normally it's made with corn masa on the outside, and it comes pre-filled and enclosed.
Do you have a special source for your masa?
Yes, I've been using Hummingbird. They're based in
They're in
Oregon.
Yeah.
Yes. I've been using them. I
Nice.
keep forgetting to place an order with them. But I still have some of the masa that I bought from them a few months ago. So I've been using that. But yes, that's where I source my ingredient from, especially not because we use non-GMO masa.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, Hummingbird is like a natural food distributor. For our food listeners out there, they're a good place to source ingredients from because you can get them in bulk and wholesale.
Well, I have a question for you. What were some of the challenges you faced when you started Xinca Foods, and how did you overcome them?
There's so many challenges when it comes to running a consumer packaged goods business, especially because I'm doing both manufacturing and the consumer packaged goods side of it, which is two different types of businesses. People who are outside of the realm of CPG don't realize that those are two different things. People assume it's one thing. And so for me, it's been more focusing on the manufacturing side, right? A lot of my issues were from there. Not knowing one, like how to start this kind of business. That was one of the biggest challenges. Or how much funding was I going to need to start this kind of business? There's just been a lot of like small and big challenges that I faced. And especially in the beginning, it was rough because I was new to this space and I didn't understand anything. And I was trying to do something that like was completely new to me. And I remember this is funny to me now because this is how naive I was. We were selling our chicharrón and cheese, which is actually a meat product. But I didn't know this at the time that you cannot be selling meat products if you don't have USDA,
Yeah.
right?
So you were
Yeah.
sneaking them in.
Yeah, and so that was part of my learning curve, right? Understanding that you cannot be selling USDA products.
Well, you can sell them direct,
Yeah, but
can't
but
like
you
wholesale.
can't sell them to somebody who's going to resell them.
yeah, but as a manufacturer, I need to have USDA in order for me to even process any meat or food in my manufacturing facility.
Mhm.
So that was another thing I had to learn, right? And then learning that I had to become a PCQI or understanding HACCP. Those were other things, or SQF. And this is all coming from the manufacturing side, right? But then there's the CPG side where the interface of like the packaging, right? So thinking about that, the nutritional label, thinking about the marketing aspect of it, like things you can't say in front of like, in your packaging for like marketing purposes, right?
Claims.
Having
Yeah.
to, yep, exactly. So
Mhm.
stuff like that. So it's been kind of a roller coaster for me, but it's been a learning curve. And like with any job, there's always going to be like new things that you learn.
So, how do you keep it authentic Salvadorian since you have the special flavors that you're trying to replicate?
Yeah, so a lot of people always ask me that question. And so now we've changed our logo from authentic Salvadorian to Salvadorian food. Just because, yes, we are keeping the authentic piece of it. Like we have the loroco and cheese pupusa, which is extremely authentic to El Salvador. And even our beans and cheese pupusa, it is authentic to El Salvador because we are using red beans, which is the way that is made in El Salvador, but I'm also adding the spin to it that my mom, she created the recipe and made it into her own version, and so like keeping those pieces that are authentic, right? And loroco, I know this is going to be a question. Loroco is native to El Salvador, which is
Is it a flower?
yes, it's an edible flower.
Mm.
It's an ancient flower that grows in El Salvador and Guatemala because it likes the humid weather. It's very earthy, herbaceous. So when you put it together with cheese, you get a nice earthiness and savoriness. And so that also makes us very authentic because we're using a very native flower to El Salvador and Guatemala.
That's so cool. I can't wait to
eat the
yeah,
flower.
that sounds really great. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we want to hear about all the specific flavors that you sell. We'll be right back.
Oregon State University's College of Agricultural Sciences and the Food Innovation Center are proud sponsors of Meaningful Marketplace. With a mission to serve all Oregonians, we are committed to giving voice to those whose food and agricultural stories are not always heard. By providing access and opportunity for a more diverse and just food system, because food brings people together. All right, so I saw that you have multiple colors of pupusa, so I want to hear about that. And then I'd love to hear about your flavor combinations that you have. Tell people about it and make them want to eat it.
I already want to eat it.
Yeah, I try to be very descriptive because, normally people don't know what a pupusa is. So I try to for example, our beans and cheese pupusa, right? I'm like, they always ask me, what are the flavors? And I'm like, well, it's nutty. It's like a little tad earthy, but also it's, savory, right? Because it's more savory than nuttier, right? Because of the beans. And so we don't do the colors anymore. We actually discontinued the colors. I need to update my website just because we're manufacturing pallets, so doing the colors kind of like added more lead time to our product, and we were trying to reduce that. So we've discontinued the colors. That's not something we're doing anymore. But yeah, like pupusas, they're very delicious, especially when you eat it with salsa o curtido. Salsa and curtido are super traditional, and it's the way that you eat them when you go to El Salvador. But doing this business, I've learned that my customers are very creative. They come up with their own variations of how to eat our pupusas.
What's your favorite way?
Well, you know, I've been I've been kind of stepping out of my comfort zone of not eating them the traditional way just because I keep hearing my customers say, "Oh, I love your beans and cheese pupusa, but I like to add a fried egg on top, a sunny side egg on top." And so then they're like, "And I also add salsa and avocado." I'm like, "Wow, that is so creative. I would have never thought of like doing that myself." Or there's another one, like I know this is super popular in San Francisco, which is making a pupusa taco, but it's called a poo taco. So like some
What?
people, yes, like
That doesn't sound good.
it's
Putaco?
it's very good.
It
It is
sounds good.
very
I just
good.
think it needs a new name.
Let's come up with a better name.
Yeah, but it's called a putaco. That's what they call it. And it's
Mhm.
really good.
Okay.
And it's really good. Trust me when I say that. But there's other ways that people eat them too with kimchi. So I've been keeping my, keeping an open mind just because like there's different like I learned that people eat differently and I'm not going to judge them for that. And so I always try to keep an open mind. But my favorite way to eat them is always with curtido and non-spicy salsa. But now, trying different stuff, I like to put like grilled chicken on top or something like that.
And you said your the beans and cheese one is based on your mom's recipe. It's always hard to honor our family and our ancestors and make sure that we do it right. How does your mom feel you did with your recipe compared to hers?
Oh man. So my mom, she's a super Latina mom.
Mm-hmm.
When I say that, she's very judgmental. And I know a lot of, people who are Latina will understand that. But no, she says that like the product is good. I don't think it's very different because my parents are both immigrants, right? They migrated from El Salvador to the United States. So I don't think like she understands like, hey, shifting your recipe to make it to this, larger scale is going to be a little different, right? So she kind of like, I guess, accepted the fact that I had to make some certain tweaks to it, but I guess she's happy with it. I could ask her, but she eats them.
I'm
She eats them.
I'm sure your mom is very proud of you and loves what you're doing, but it's always the hardest thing to do, I know, is to say, make something that's in honor of your parents or your grandparents because it's never going to be theirs. I mean, that's the whole thing with mom's food.
Yeah,
It's mom's food.
exactly. One of our other clients that we've interviewed had the same thing with their sauces. It was a restaurant sauce, and then the mom was like so skeptical, and then I think we ended up with a better sauce for her. So it was a miracle.
Yeah. So tweaking the recipe was something that I did to make the recipe better.
Mhm.
She was like, "Oh, it actually tastes like mine," but she's like, "But I want you to do this, this, and that, right?"
Mhm.
But I'm like, "Mom, you got to think about how this is going to go through our machine or our equipment, etc., right? Because one thing that you have to think about too is like we have our own machinery and equipment, and when you're using certain recipes, you need to adjust certain things to, for it to be easy for your equipment to like make it happen for you."
How do you see the frozen food market evolving with more traditional foods, and how is Xinca Foods positioned within the frozen foods market?
Yeah, so I feel like there's been a shift. I know like Brazzy Bites, Junea, she has paved the way for a lot of the Latinas in the freezer section. And I know Mas Panadas, Margarita, she's also been paving her own way too. And I know she's I believe in Maryland, and she just finished building out her own manufacturing facility over there. I feel like there's that craving of wanting more, and I feel like we are in a good spot right now because there's two very powerful women who are Latinas, who are currently making that way for people like myself, to be able to bring Salvadorian food to the masses. And so I feel like we are in a very good position for us to grow next year. especially in 2025, our growth plan is pretty massive that I get scared when I think about it.
Mm-hmm.
But, all we got to do is keep moving forward because we know we have a demand, and we know, and we're seeing it right now with the home shopping network, right? Because we are nationwide through them, and we've been shipping all over the United States. And so we see the demand, and we see people wanting our product and other types of products in the freezer aisle.
I have a very serious question for you. Have you thought about going food service?
Yes. So we have been working with a few retailers to bring our product into food service in the Seattle area. We were working with a big national food service company as well. But we just been in talks with the food service people, just because, it's a long time to get product into food service. And yeah, so we're still in talks there.
That's great.
And you've mentioned that your stuff is available on the Home Shopping Network. So we have other makers that are approached by Home Shopping Network, and so just in general, how has that experience been for you? Has it been good?
Yeah, so my experience with HSN was a little different. We are in a very unique situation with them. We are only doing drop ship. We are not selling our product on TV. Um, so that's what makes our partnership with them a little unique. I don't know if any other folks have been approached, like when it comes to like, oh, having that option of doing dropship or not, or just doing TV, because when you are working with Cora Group, which is QVC and HSN, they want you to go on TV and sell your product because that's where their biggest money makers at, right? And so we were in a unique position because our product is very unique. And so we were able to kind of negotiate and be like, look, we are still very small. We were very transparent with our buyer. And I really like our buyers because they've been amazing and understanding. And so, like, working with them and being transparent with them was key for us. And, like, and I honestly gravitated towards HSN because I felt that they would be a better partner for us, right? So you kind of have to weigh your options, especially if you've been approached by a QVC buyer or HSN buyer, just because the contracts are different, even though they're from the same family group. Um, you want to make sure that you're doing what's best for your business. Um, a lot of founders, I feel like they don't really think about the, when it comes to like the outcome from it, they just think, oh, this is a great opportunity. But you kind of have to do the math, right? Like, what is going to be best for you? What is going to be best for your business? And for us, the Home Shopping Network was a great partnership because we were able to leverage their free shipping option because they pay for shipping and we just send out the product, right? So for us, we did the math and it made sense for us to partner with them, and for us, it's been a great partnership.
Tell us more. How did they find you? Because you said they found you.
Yes. So I've exhibited at Fancy Food for in 2023 and 2024. Wait, I took a year off. Sorry. We're in 2024 this year. So I took a year off from all food shows. I remember we did our first food show. I don't remember if it was 2022 or 2023, but they found us at Fancy Food. So QVC found us at Las Vegas and Home Shopping Network found us in New York. So a lot of the times you see the people who are on TV, the personalities or I don't know what they're called, the actors, they're walking down the aisle and they're looking at different products. And so they came to our booth. I didn't know who they were. Um, and they were just trying my stuff and they were like, this is so good. And then they were talking to me and they were like, we really like your personality. We think you're going to be great on TV. And then I was like, whoa, TV? I don't want to go on TV. And so then they were really like trying to get me to go on TV. And I was like, no, I don't want to go on TV. And the thing that I learned was, for me, the reason I didn't go on TV was because it's a whole line of business with them when you do TV, because you have to basically hire someone who can sell your product every 2 weeks. You also have to be selling a certain amount of product within the 8 minutes that you're on air. If you don't sell like the amount that they've set, they might not ask you to come back.
It's a
And
lot of
so,
it's a lot of pressure for sure.
yeah, yes, it's a lot of pressure, and you also have to take these classes because there's certain things you can't say on air. So you have to really take the time and invest on this. And so that's the reason why I was like, I don't want to go on TV. And so when they found us on at Fancy Food, because they tend to do a lot of the fancy food shows, I was like, oh, cool, this would be a great opportunity. But then I was like, TV, I was like, no.
Well, and I think it gives us a really good message for all the makers that are listening out there. And that is that, no matter what, when you're approached by buyers or other businesses, like things are negotiable. So if you feel like it's not going to work, it's okay to say that it's not going to work and to ask for what you need. So for you, you weren't interested in doing the show. It was a lot of pressure. It was a lot of time. You didn't think that you could do that, but there was another option. So, I think that's important for people to hear, because I think sometimes everybody gets wrapped up in whatever's being presented as the only way, and it's not always the only way. And drop shipping doesn't always come up as an option, but it is for some places, and sometimes it's a better option, and sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's a really hard option for makers. But you just have to, figure out what's going to work for you in your biz and work it out with those buyers.
Yes, and you brought up a really good point, because I've turned down so many buyers. Like, people are always like, "Oh, but you could have been nationwide." Like, I've literally said no to Sprouts because I was like, that is too many stores. And I'm like, and that will cost us X amount to be in 380 something stores. And so, and that's a good point that you're bringing up, because I always feel like founders always say yes to everything, but don't think about, like, it's going to cost me this much money, or do I even have the bandwidth? And I'm a manufacturer, and other people have co-packers, right? So for brands who are co-packing, you need to consider the cost, because there's a lot of hidden costs that people don't think about. Slotting fees, right? And then there's the whole marketing piece of it, right? Because everyone says this already, but I always say it. It is tough to get on shelves, but it's tougher to get off shelves. Like, it's easy to get on the shelves, like, it's not easy, I know, but your job never ends there. Your job continues, and it gets tougher because you have to stay on those shelves. And so velocity comes into play. And so when you are at a national scale, you need to figure out, how am I going to market to all these people? You can't do it yourself. And this is advice that one of my buyers, from Town and Country, Dwight Richmond,
Dwight's amazing.
yes, he's amazing. He told me, like, you're not going to be able to, like, demo and tell people about your product. Your product has to sell itself on shelf. And also, you need to be able to provide that scale when it comes to marketing. And so, like, I always go to Dwight because I like talking to Dwight. He's a very smart man.
He's
Um,
chill too. He's so
yeah, he's
modest.
Yes. And so, like, I always go to him when I ask him questions. Even with my newest product, I always like show him the product first before I launch it, just because I want his opinion.
He's super smart. I sit on the board with him for the Specialty Food Association. That's how I know him.
Nice.
So
Yeah,
what
he's great.
Are you ready to take your food packaging to the next level? Elevate your brand with epackagesupply.com. ePackage Supply offers high-quality, food-grade packaging proudly made in the USA. Plus, they're your one-stop shop for expert advice, custom labels, and printing options. Whether you're just starting out or scaling up, ePackage Supply provides flexible quantities and competitive pricing to fit your business's unique needs. Visit epackagesupply.com and use code MEANINGFUL10. That's meaningful10 for 10% off your order. Or call 866-775-4881 to chat with a food packaging expert. ePackage Supply, your partner in packaging. Visit epackagesupply.com today.
What role does cultural heritage play in your business model?
Oh, it plays a very big role. We do a lot of community events, not even in Seattle, but in in Texas. So we are actually in this grocery store down there called Central Market, which is part of the HEB family.
Mm-hmm.
So launching there has been great for us because we've been able to build this Salvadorian community away from where we are based from, which is kind of cool and interesting at the same time. And so like we've been focused in working with like a few nonprofits that work with like Salvadorian communities in El Salvador. And so for me, it's extremely important to like one also, because I'm American as well, bringing those two together is kind of tricky, but also in a way like it's kind of fun because I'm meshing two different cultures together. But it's very important for me to kind of like bring that, into the business because we are a Salvadorian frozen food brand and we are the first Salvadorian frozen food brand in the American market. So like we have to really like
You
be
have to
involved in our
represent.
culture. Yes. Yes. And so even with my product, I know there's other like not makers, but bigger food brands than me. They have like millions of dollars that are making pupusas. Like a lot of Salvadorians kind of get put off by the fact that I'm making frozen pupusas. And so like it's been also something that I've been working on because I want my community to support us as much as they can because we are the first Salvadoran frozen food brand.
So you have some certifications. I noticed you have the Certified Women in Business Enterprise and then the Washington State Office of Women's Business Enterprise. Can you tell us about those certifications and how they've helped you as a business?
Yeah, WeBank has been great, and then the one from Washington State is free. So if anyone listening, you should definitely get that, and that one's a really good one to have. They have been amazing. I know last year we had a state senator, come to our facility, and that was kind of a surprise. And it was because they came up from Olympia to come see our little small facility. And so like and they've also been very helpful with providing resources. I know I just also won this Department of Agriculture grant, which was cool in January. So I was able to kind of like also work with like other people who've given me advice, like, when it comes to my business, which is cool, right? And I always say this to everyone, like, take the advice that suits you, but listen to everyone's advice. And so that's what I do. I listen to everyone's advice and I take the pieces that work well for me.
That's good advice.
Emily, do you have any questions for Cynthia?
I do. I'm curious actually about that approach. It sounds like listening to everybody's advice is the first piece of information that folks can take away, but it sounds like you've taken a really deliberate approach to the business decisions that you've made. And I'm wondering, how you've learned what to consider in those decisions. Has it primarily been from those other food businesses and makers, or did you take any classes or utilize any other resources that our listeners might be interested in also using?
Yes, I have a list of resources because I'm the type of person who likes to do research, and that is the data analyst in me that comes into the whole situation, right? Trying to get as much information and research as possible. But Naturally Network, they're a national network. I was a minority owned fellow for that, which was a really great resource for me. And I was able to kind of like get connected to other makers and minority owned makers. And I've been able to kind of build a relationship with them, and we kind of like bounce ideas off each other or talk about certain situations that we're in. So I kind of, I guess, found my little mini tribe with this little cohort. And then Startup CPG, I don't know if you've ever heard of them. They've been a very amazing resource. I'm actually yeah, I'm actually the co-leader for the Seattle CPG one, the Seattle CPG group. So I lead a lot of the like me, my co-leader Jeanette and myself, we co-lead a lot of the meetups that happen in the Seattle area. And so they've also been an amazing resource because they provide a lot of free resources as to like how does distribution work, or like, how to work with a co-packer or finding a co-packer. So they've been an amazing resource. I've also used Business Impact. They've been a great resource as well. I know I'm supposed to talk to one of the coaches because I need to start working on pitching, because pitching is something that I'm going to do for 2025. But I know I owe this person a call, so I will call them. And then I've also been working with this women in leadership class. I know we just started 2 weeks ago, but it's been great because it's been a great resource, especially with certain things that I deal with in like my day to day. One of the topics we had last week was about imposter syndrome, which is something that I deal with a lot.
Mhm.
And so it's been a great resource. But yes, I have more resources and more, and I've worked with a lot of different agencies as well. I know Impact Washington has been another one too. Miguel has been amazing. They've helped me with a lot of like educational pieces too. Included CPG, they're for minority owned folks. They've been another great resource. Yes, like I can keep going.
I think that's a good start for people. Those are all really great resources, and we'll make sure to tag them in the show notes so people can find them. But I think it's great that there's so many opportunities in Washington, and that you've been able to utilize so many great folks.
One of the other ones I wanted to say too was the Department of Agriculture. They've been great too. I'm not trying to leave them off, because both the marketing side has been amazing. So, and WUSADA too. So I want to make sure they also get a shout out right there.
Perfect. We'll add them in. We won't leave anybody out. Well, unfortunately, this is my least favorite part of the show because we have to wrap it up. So we want to make sure to send people to you and to your retailers to buy your products. So where should we send them?
So we are in PCC Met Market in the Seattle metro area. We're in Town and Country. And then in Texas, if you have any Texas listeners, we are in Central Market. And then in Los Angeles, we are in Carla's Fresh Market. So, and then hsn.com nationwide. So, yeah.
Perfect. It was so great to meet with you today and to hear your story. And I'm sure we'll connect in the future, and we'll make sure to get our hands on your wonderful products. Good job, Cynthia.
Awesome. Thank you.
We want to thank our listeners for tuning into the show. Thank you for listening to The Meaningful Marketplace. Before we go, you can leave some love for your favorite podcast by leaving us a review on Apple Podcasts or on iTunes. You can follow us on Instagram at Meaningful Marketplace Podcast, and you can call or text Sarah and I with questions at 503-395-8858. We couldn't do this without our fantastic team at Joy of Creation Production. Thank you to Kayleen, our production coordinator, and Haley, our audio engineer. And we will be back next week, everybody. Bye.
Bye for now.